most of the time our salespeople are experts at the technical stuff. They can tell you all the different ways an air conditioning system works. They can tell you all the different chemicals that are great for carpet cleaning that won't hurt your pets. They know all the technical stuff.
Sure.
They are not necessarily experts in the internal problems. So we have external problems and internal problems. External problems are my air conditioning is not working. Internal problem could be this is my first time owning a house. I don't know how I'm supposed to trust a provider. I don't know what a good deal is. I don't want to be taken advantage of. Those are internal problems. Our field technicians are almost always experts in the external problems and can tell you 95 different ways to solve the problem. Don't know or are not trained to speak to the internal problems. The problem with that is we make decisions based on our internal problems, not the external problems. In my mind, if I call a air conditioning company and I go to Google or I go in the phone book in the old days and I see there's 25 options, they're all saying they have the best warranty, guarantee, pricing, and customer service. Those 25 companies all look exactly the same to me. When they come to my house, the service technician comes that is the expert in my external problem. My air conditioning doesn't work. In my mind, is no different than the one that Brand X is going to send over. The problem is we rely on convincing the customer that our expertise in the external problem is the way they make decisions, and that's not the way they make decisions. So we don't spend enough time training our employees that internal problems even exist. We talk about value a lot, right? Because value is a key word that's being tossed around a lot. But we can't, if I asked all the HVAC companies in California, what are the top 5 internal problems your customers have? I'd be shocked if they could name more than 1 or 2, right? And if we don't speak to those things, we can't possibly make sure we're addressing those concerns. Now, the problem becomes, well, how do you do that? If you have a 62-year-old woman who might call or a 35-year-old man, they have different problems, right? Which is why the precursor to this is, who's your audience? Who's your client? Who do you serve better than anybody else can? Now, we really don't want to get into that because we want everybody. We want anybody who makes over $100,000 a year. That's my customer.
Right.
So I tell folks oftentimes, if your 30-second elevator speech or your declaration of who you serve starts with the words anyone who or anyone who has, anyone with, you're on the wrong track.
Too broad of a
It's too
net.
broad. In marketing, there's a saying, if you aren't speaking to somebody, you aren't speaking to anybody. And that is 100% true. So now, just because my target audience might be a 47-year-old woman who doesn't work, for example, if I was in a wealthy part of town and that was my target audience, just because my messaging speaks to that person doesn't mean the 31-year-old dude can't call. Like, it doesn't mean that he would be so repulsed by my marketing language, he'd be like, I'm not ever calling these people. That wouldn't happen. But if we're going to train our technicians on how to solve internal problems, we have to identify who generally our client is and what generally their concerns are. If I'm speaking to a first-time homeowner, their concerns are going to be vastly different than somebody who's 63 years old and has 14 rental properties. They're just different problems.
Okay, so if you have an HVAC company, a plumbing company, something that broad, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everyone we hope has a toilet,
Yeah.
how do you then focus the training or for your employees to speak to these different focus groups?
Well, you got a choice. You can either say, here's the client we want to go get, and we're gonna have our messaging dialed in to speak to this person, or you can say, here's who our client happens to be. In either case, we got to know who our client is. So we could say we've been in business for 3 years or 18 months or 43 years. Historically speaking, here's who our client is. Historically speaking, here's the things that they are concerned about more than we would think that they're concerned about. Here's the criteria they use to make decisions. Now, one of the things I hear almost universally from contractors especially is they get pissed because they say all people care about is money. All people, we offer the best value, the best guarantee, the best workmanship, craftsmanship, warranty, guarantee, all these things. All people care about is money. And I say, okay, aside from all the things your competitors say, pricing, warranty, guarantee, workmanship, craftsmanship, customer service, aside from those things that every one of your competitors is saying, what do you offer differently?
Hopefully knowledge, expertise.
They all have that, right? I mean, would you be an HVAC company and say you didn't offer expertise and knowledge?
Right.
Right.
Good point.
So what are the things that you offer that are different or deeper than everybody else is saying? And if the answer is, well, nothing, We say value, workmanship, craftsmanship, guarantee, expertise, customer experience, just like they do. Well, all that's left in for the customer is make decisions based on price and convenience. That's it. Those are the two defaults. If you don't give them a compelling reason to make a decision based on different criteria, it's always going to come down to price and convenience. Who can get here fastest or who's the cheapest?
Then what do you focus on?
Well, you got to find, again, you go back to who's your client,
Okay.
what are their concerns, and you train that. So let's say my ideal client, again, I'll use this example because this is a real life example from back in 2006. Our ideal client, or our client, happened to be a generally late 40s to early 50s female who may or may not work. All right. We knew what the emotional concerns were. She was concerned about, can I trust this person in my house? Okay. That trumped our expertise in solving her mechanical problem. How do you go about showing somebody that you can trust in their house? There's actually things you can do, specific actions you can take to demonstrate that. So we trained those things because not everybody's born knowing that stuff. So once we identified, here's the thing that they care about, first and foremost, is, can I trust you in my house? My grandkids are here, maybe. My kids might be here. Our dog. My 16-year-old daughter's underwear drawer is here. Whatever it is,
Sure.
Those things are here, and I want to make sure I don't have some dirtbag in my house who's going to do things I don't like. That's all that matters, right? Or that was a major factor anyway.
Sure. Pretending
like that's not a thing wouldn't have gotten us anywhere. So for us, it was like that was a major thing. For almost all people, though, forget age, forget if you're really struggling with this and you can't find out who your ideal client is, or it's just, I don't even know where to start with that. Understand that generally speaking, people are motivated by one overwhelming thing. And I like to use this word, but it's true in this context. They don't like to feel stupid. I don't want to pay $1,100 for this and find out 3 days later I should have paid $700 for it. I don't want to have somebody come into my house and do the work and then find out they don't really have the expertise that I thought they did. I don't want to have this person come to my house and do this repair and find out they have a really crappy rating. I don't want to have these things happen. They're going to tell me I was stupid and I made a bad decision.
Right.
That is universal. So no, if nothing else, you can always default to that. Yeah. So what would make a person feel stupid in the context of our relationship? So if I'm an auto repair shop, you have 5 opportunities basically to talk to them. They're going to call and make an appointment. They're going to drop the car off. We're going to call with a diagnosis and a price. We're going to call and schedule the pickup, and they're going to come pick it up. In each one of those 5 encounters, what is their journey? Where do they come in starting, and where do we want to take them? So again, if my client is a 32-year-old woman, what do you think her concerns might be with an auto repair shop?
She doesn't know anything about cars.
I don't know anything about cars.
Right.
What else?
What's the good price versus,
I
reasonable?
don't have the criteria to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
I guess, can I trust these guys?
Yeah, I've heard nonstop on 20/20 and 60 Minutes how people, these kinds of companies take advantage of people like me.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are 3 overriding concerns that woman's going to have in that experience. Can the technicians who take in that car and have that conversation with her explain those things and say, here's where she's coming in the door and here's what she's feeling and thinking and doing. Here's her emotional concerns. And here's how we want to feel when she walks out the door to get in the car, whoever gave her a ride or is picking her up, that she has confidence we're not ripping her off. She has confidence she has criteria to make a decision. She has confidence that we're going to do the right thing or whatever her concerns are. What would tell them that happened? How do they go about doing it? Or do they even know those things exist? And in most cases, the answer is no. Most cases, we focus on the external problem, the technical thing, and we don't really pay attention to the emotional thing, especially in industries that are mostly men out in the field or doing the thing. We're not natural. We're not born good at this stuff. We have to learn it, and we can't learn it though if we can't acknowledge it exists and have specific training in place to identify that. To show us what the right path is.
That's a good investment.
That's a fantastic investment because again, from the customer's point of view, all repair shops are more or less the same, except for the really bad ones that have the crummy reviews and the ones that are really expensive. Everything else in the middle, they're all basically the same. They're all interchangeable. Yeah.